Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and create our first controller, which is going to be the jobs controller, and possibly link in our view or in our layout of our site. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set the default controller. Alright, so if we go to config and then routes.php, you can see that right here we're defining the default controller, which is pages, and then the action or the method or the function, whatever you want to call it, display. So we're not going to have a pages controller. We're going to use the jobs controller as our default. So change this to jobs, and then this display, okay, we're going to just change that to index. So that'll make it so that when someone visits our domain without any subdirectories or anything like that, it's going to go to the jobs controller. So let's save that. And now if we reload our app, we're getting a missing controller error, obviously because we don't have it yet. So let's go ahead and create that. If we go back to the root and then go to controller, you can see the app controller is kind of like a master controller. We can define methods and properties and stuff in this file, and it will be global, and every controller will have access to it. So we want to keep the app controller. We can get rid of the pages controller. Alright, so now we want to create a new file, and this is going to be called jobs controller.php. Now, as I said in the beginning, Cake PHP is basically convention over configuration. And basically what that means is that we have to be very specific in naming our controllers and models and views and methods, pretty much everything. And it may seem a little strict, but the payoff is great, because you can do a lot less work and get for a lot of functionality. So that's one of the reasons I actually really like Cake PHP, is because it's just so easy to use because of the naming conventions. So every controller, you should have your object, in our case is jobs, and it should be plural, and you want to make the first letter uppercase, and then controller with the C uppercase. Okay, so that should be the format for all your controller names. So let's save that, and let's go ahead and open that up. And as we're going along, you're probably thinking how similar this is to CodeIgniter, and it really is. I mean, they're both MVC PHP frameworks, so of course they're going to have similarities. So I'm going to say PHP, and it's going to be class jobs controller. Again, you want to pay attention to convention. This should be the same name as the actual file. Alright, and then we have to extends app controller. Okay, so very similar to CI controller in CodeIgniter. In CodeIgniter we would have CI underscore controller instead of app controller. And I should also mention that with Cake, the convention is basically camel case. All right, so every word is capitalized, the first letter. In CodeIgniter, it was all underscores. It would have been jobs underscore. Actually, it wouldn't even be controller. It would just be jobs. But anyway, let's keep going here. We want to define a property here. Wait, what am I doing? Called name. All right. And we're just going to set that to the actual name of the object, which in our case is jobs. Alright, next we want our index function, which comes up if, let's say, someone goes to job finds /jobs/test. Basically, this would be calling the test method in our class. We're going to call index, except we don't need to have this. If we just go to job find / jobs, it's going to go to the index function, just like in CodeIgniter. Okay, so I'm just going to add some comments here. Just say index default index method, and I'm going to say public function index. Alright, now using views is very simple. Alright, so to basically set a view, we can just say this set, and then we want the name of the controller object, so jobs, and then we're going to pass in a variable, jobs, and basically we can assign whatever we want to this jobs. It's going to be an array. So let's just save this and see what happens. Alright, so we're no longer missing our controller, but we are missing the view. And you can see that the view that it's trying to get is index. Alright, and you basically want your view to be named after your methods. Alright, so let's do that. We'll go back and then go to view, and we're actually going to create a new folder here and call it jobs, and then inside of there we'll create a new file, a new PHP file. Whoop. Actually, wait a minute, it doesn't matter. And we're going to save this in jobs as index.ctp. Alright, so CTP is the extension for views in Cake, at least the default extension. So let's say this is index. Go back, and you can see we have this is index. Now we're getting this error here because we actually didn't define jobs inside of our controller. So we can say jobs equals whatever. Okay, so now we can save that, and now the error is gone, and we can use that in any way that we want. We can say PHP echo jobs, and we get whatever. Alright, so basically what we want jobs to be in this situation is a handler for a database query. So we want to get the results of a database and put that into this variable so we can send it to the view, and then we can use that inside of the view. And we have really cool shortcuts that we can use for doing simple queries. Alright, so if we want to get job info, and we'll say jobs is equal to this job find, and then we can pass in some parameters here. We're going to say all. So this one line here is going to get all of our jobs from the database. So if we save that, and the reason we're getting this error is because we're treating that jobs variable inside the view, we're treating it as a string, and it's not. It's now an array because it's returning the results of this find query right here. Alright, so if we go back in here, let's say for each jobs as job, and here we'll say let's just put, we'll just put them in a paragraph for now. I just want to show you. So PHP echo job. Now we can use this as we would in any actually, you know what, we're not going to use this. We're going to use an array as opposed to an object. We're going to say job, and then the name of the model or the table. Okay, job, and then the name of the actual field that we want. In this case, let's just say title. Close that off. Alright, so let's save that. And here we have all of the titles for the jobs in our database. So it's as simple as that. We didn't even have to use model logic because we have shortcuts like this that we can use. Now you may be saying, alright, that's fine, but what if we want some options, like let's say we want to limit the number of jobs coming back, or we want to change the order or something like that, and that's really simple to do. All we need to do is pass in a second parameter for our options. Alright, and then up here we'll say set query options. Okay, so we'll take the options variable, and that's going to be an array. Alright, and then we can just define things like order, and we can set that to, we actually need to use an array. Let's see, array, and then the field, we'll say job dot created, which is basically the date field inside of our database. And we can say if we want it descending or ascending. Alright, so if we save that, that should work. Alright, so now we're descending. You can see I actually want to change that. ASC. Alright, so what if we want to put a limit on that? Then we can just go here, put a comma, and we'll say limit, and we'll set a limit of 2. Okay, so now we're only getting 2. And this template that you see, this style, is basically a kind of a debugging template. It gives you the query and the number of rows, things like that, so it's really helpful. Obviously, we don't want this as our website or our application UI. It's just basically for development. But in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can actually change this to look like our